You know, if you're pro 2A, you can never fully trust any politician when it comes to your rights because we've seen them sold out so many times. And there's still a lot of people that are pro 2A that have reservations about what President Trump will do or may not do. But today he made history in one of not only the toughest places to actually acquire a firearm or a concealed carry permit, but also it's showing his full trust in gun owners because it hits very close to home. Since I've started covering what Trump does, good and bad, for the Second Amendment, I always want to keep that balance and make sure that we keep things in perspective. You can't fully trust any of them, but at the end of the day, when he does something this significant, it's definitely praiseworthy. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course, I want to hear from some of you guys, maybe that actually live in DC or one of these other states where it's super restricted, and maybe how this can open the door for you guys. Now, I'm going to give you some interesting statistics here about DC and their crime rate and the concealed carry laws that have gone on so long there. So I'd love to hear from some of you guys that maybe have had to battle through some of this red tape. And if you're in DC or not, let me know down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. You know, DC has seen its share of crime over the years for sure, and they still rank #1 when it comes to overall crime of any type. 1,200 out of every 100,000 people in DC are victims of some type of crime. In 2024 alone, they had 29,000 and some change reported crimes. They had like 16,000 carjackings. You know, your car in a lot of states is seen as an extension of your home. So just kind of think about it like that. It's an easier way to break into one of the spaces where you should feel pretty freaking secure. But unfortunately, a lot of people are not. Now, since 2025, crime in DC has actually dropped by like 19%. The problem there is that only 1.2% of the population in DC have a concealed carry permit. They have notoriously made this process so hard, so lengthy. They essentially, for the longest time up until 2017, you had to provide a good enough reason to be able to carry a gun or you're not getting it. Even in 2008, when the Supreme Court found that carrying a firearm for self-defense is totally constitutional, you should be able to do that. Every American should be able to do that. DC has continued with the red tape, the training requirements. I mean, when you look at what the requirements actually are, or the old requirements, it's pretty astonishing. 4 to 6 months just to wait to be able to get the appointment. Then you have the application process. You had 16 hours of mandatory training, 2 hours on the range, fingerprints, IDs, of course. Nothing could be done online, by the way. It was all face-to-face. They required manual reviews by the Metropolitan Police Department. And if there was any clerical errors, even on their side of things, any kind of scheduling conflicts, anything like that, it could either deny or delay this process entirely. Legally, DC was supposed to be able to get through these applicants within 60 days, but because of backlogging issues, staffing issues, and just the fact that they simply do not want to give citizens the chance to exercise their rights, you're talking about a year plus just to get a concealed carry permit from start to finish. And here's one of the things that I think is rarely talked about, and the reason DC has clamped down so much. Well, you have a bunch of politicians there. You have a bunch of bureaucrats there that do not support your right to carry a gun, and they certainly don't think that you're worthy to be able to carry a gun around them. For some reason, there's just some people on both sides of the aisle, if we just be totally honest, that say they support the Second Amendment, but they almost act as if you're not trustworthy enough to be able to carry a gun around them. If we keep more guns out, somehow that's going to keep crime down. When facts and studies have proven time and time again this simply doesn't work. People either get the guns illegally or they find other ways to do crime, and DC is kind of one of the perfect examples of that. So here's what President Trump is actually doing. Taking this 6 to 12 month process, whatever it's going to be, and pushing that down to like 4 to 8 days. That's amongst some of the quickest in the nation. Now, unfortunately, the training requirements are still there, but it's supposed to be streamlined. So now they are getting staffing pumped up significantly. Next day appointments, walk-ins are even available now. They're using some automation to kind of get through these backlogs that have been there for years and years and years, and actually using federal resources to make sure that there are no more staffing issues that they can claim that will keep you from being able to protect yourself. And this is actually tied into the recent announcement that President Trump made on the Home Rule Act, which essentially gives him the authority to send in the National Guard to help clean up DC. Now look, I have as much compassion and empathy for people that are homeless as much as the next person, but at the end of the day, all they've done is kind of become like a mini San Francisco in a way. Right? When people visit your nation, our nation's capital, you want to be able to see beautiful things, right? You want to be able to see that stuff. And he's not even said that he's not going to give them a place to go. It's not like, oh, just get out of here and, good luck. He's actually giving them places, but outside of the city. And you can see the city being cleaned up right now. But there's one thing that President Trump understands is just because you're getting rid of some of the issues there. By the way, I thought it was hilarious when they announced, hey, criminals, we actually want you to stay because we need to be able to lock you up. But regardless, he understands that that doesn't mean that crime is just gonna poof, go away. There's no reason that a single mother, single father, a family of 4, family of 6, single person, doesn't matter who you are, should still have to wait 6 months or a year. I would have had a problem with this if he wouldn't have put in some kind of clause to improve the concealed carry system, because essentially what he would have been saying at that point is, hey, we're going to make it safer. You can trust the government to keep you safe, which we all know is a load of crap. He said, no, you need to be able to take it upon yourself, but we're going to clean up in the process as well. We're going to handle what we need to do. We're going to clean this city up because we deserve it, you deserve it, but you also need to be able to take on personal responsibility, personal protection for yourself, and you shouldn't have to wait 6 months or a year to do that. I got a really big problem with this all the way around, especially when you start talking about ex-spouses, lovers, people that fill out these silly restraining orders that are supposed to somehow keep people that are so infatuated with you or upset with you or whatever, they're supposed to keep them at bay within 100 yards or 200 yards, whatever they are. It's absolutely silly. And I think it's even more impressive that President Trump is opening the door for more guns to come into DC households, more people to be carrying in a place where he is. Right? If he was kind of afraid of guns and all this kind of stuff, like most of the politicians there that have their own private security, let's not kid ourselves, he would say, no, we want to keep those guns out. We're going to clean up the city, but hey, we're not going to open up this process. Now, the requirements, the training requirements, all that kind of crap, absolutely useless. Let's just be honest. Maybe they can actually start to get rid of that kind of stuff, because the only requirement you need is to be a United States citizen in order to exercise your rights, right? Simple as that. But the fact that he's opening the door for more people to carry in a place where he is, his family is, obviously his Secret Service and all that kind of stuff, but we've seen how well that worked out last year. This brings a lot of trust back to gun owners. I think it's such a fantastic move. It's such a bold statement. Say, hey, I support you, I support what you do, and we want more people carrying firearms to be able to protect themselves. Absolutely love it. I'd love to hear your experience, man. If you're in one of these more restrictive states, what is the longest you've had to wait in order to get a concealed carry permit? We're not done here. Of course, concealed carry reciprocity, constitutional carry throughout the United States. We got a lot to push forward through, but man, these little small kind of proxy battles, if you will, for the Second Amendment, winning on each one of these. Remember, we didn't lose our rights overnight. Chipping away a little bit at a time and winning feels so good. Let me know your opinion down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one, and as always, hold them down.